Good morning, everybody, and this is your DAX day trade setup for today. So I'm not seeing much on the S&P 500 this morning, and by the looks of things, at first glance, I don't think there's much happening here either. So just to recap, earlier in the week, we did have a pin bar off this head and shoulders view, but for some reason, this area here is offering resistance, which is 13,791. Now, I just want to go to the weekly just to see. It's not clear why that's offering any resistance. Let's get back to the 8-hour. Now there are one or two tails there, but it's nothing. I suppose we could argue that that's that all the way back to February where we had that. And I suppose there is more back to March as well. So, okay, there is something happening there, but it's so far in the past. You would expect us to sort of start tagging these tails here rather than down here. Anyway, with those two levels drawn in, you can see it's kind of a range that's forming, and there's one more area of interest you need to pay attention to, and that is that one. We have tested it once already. But moving averages are crossed over, so looking like the trend is up on the 8-hour, but similar setup to the S&P. We've got diversions here. So, yeah, proceed with caution, I think. You can see these tails. There are sellers hovering here, which obviously believing that we're not going higher than this. So the validation of that will be the drop below the pin bar. The drop below the pin bar, come back and test here. That would move us in the downward direction. But for now, we are sort of moving up, and we've kind of ranged to a small degree. If you start looking at the 3-hour, nice grouping that we had in the middle of the week, nice rally off that, and then we're taking profit up here. So the big question now is this area that we're in now. There's two areas. I'm going to have to add one more level here. So right where we are at the moment, we're kind of rejecting it. That's one of the areas. You can see there's the fractals, and here's the other fractals to the downside. So this one to me is a little bit more in play. And that's 13,578. The reason for that is we broke above it, found support, and then we dropped below it. So that is the area that we need to pay attention to. Both of these areas in actual fact. Trend is up on the 3-hour. Pretty clear. Oscillators are separating, which is interesting, and then pointing down. So no crossover just yet. So I would expect us to either go sideways or drift down to one of these levels at the moment. Looking at the 1-hour, you can see we've not quite got a grouping of the oscillators. We are all over the place, so it's not I need a nice tight grouping. Something like this, you can see what happens. We get some grouping, and then we just drift, and then while we're drifting, we're dropping lower. So I think that's kind of the setup that we've got at the moment. This is a messy uptrend. We are above the moving averages at the moment, but now we're in amongst the slow moving averages. If you look to the left, we are sideways. There's no real structure here. So everything that we see here is pointing towards me sitting on the sides and enjoying my Friday. So you can see yesterday, big down, big up, big down, big up. Nothing really got going. And as I warned you, there were gaps to the downside. So my view at the moment is this gap is going to close, and then we have this gap all the way down here. So I think you are going to drop to the bottom here, and it's going to form a bigger range. So let's get to the hour. So basically, there is a pin bar rejection here as well. The high of this morning is your stop area right now. I'd actually be tempted right where we are now. Only at 25 points, and if I take the next tail, it's a 50-point stop loss. So you can see this is the trend. So if you get some price action on the lower time frames of rejection of this, looking for a short stop to entry as quick as possible, and I'm betting that we're going to get down to 13,450. We're going to come down and close the gap that's down here. That is 13,450. Double check. 13,578 area first, and then you've got 13,489 area. So there's those two gaps. I That's kind of the play that I think we've got today. You can see inside bar here. So I'm looking for a second signal this morning. We get a second signal, it's a very good opportunity for some kind of it's going to be like a 50-point stop loss for a 100-point gain to come and close this gap to start with, and then possibly a next target there. So I would take profit at the gap, then price should come up and reject off one of these swing lows, and then your next entry for the next gap for short. So I think that's kind of the play for today. I just want to check the weekly, what we're working with on the weekly. Chaos. Yeah, that's kind of my play today. I think if you're looking at from a long perspective, I don't think I'm not keen to jump in long, not with the higher time frame. So this is going to be short scalps more than anything else. But these gaps are just going to be too juicy for the DAX. They're definitely going to be targeted. If we do get above 13,684, or let me rather just adjust that to the current high of the morning. So if we get above 13,690 and we find support there, then you're looking for a move to the upside for 13,791. So that's kind of the view today. Break above that, you're heading up. And if you kind of reject in this zone that we're in now, and you can see why I'm saying that, you can see all these tails here. If we can reject this area, then you're looking for a move down. So just pay attention to both these levels. Any rejection here, you're looking for a trade on the break of the pattern. So here's an inside bar. So you would have your entry below here and your stop above there. Not during after hour session or during the Asian session, but during the European session. And that's kind of the setup that I'm seeing here. And it's going to be short scalps, to be honest. It's just to come and close a gap. And then I can pretty much guarantee you can take profit there and you can put in a long trade around here with a 40-point stop loss, and you're going to get a 57% return because you'll come and test this area here. Anyway, that's kind of my view today. If you've got the time, onto the 5-minute chart, to be honest, I'll drop down to the 5-minute chart and take the scalps that are there. Just keep your stops really tight. And the nice thing about this at the moment is there's really tight areas or tight stop areas. Hope it helps, and we'll catch up with you on Monday morning. Cheers for now.